Now we will discuss the tumors of nose and paranasal sinus. A 12-year adolescent male presents with unilateral mass in nose with recurrent spontaneous bleeding. On examination, a pink mass covered with mucosa is found in the nasopharynx. Which of the following is not to be done? Biopsy is done for diagnosis. CECT, contrast enhanced computed tomography, is done. Endoscopic surgery can be done and angioembolization can be performed. Now we will look at the various clues that are present in this question. A 12-year-old male with unilateral mass with bleeding, and you see a pink mass from the nasopharynx. So what is the diagnosis? This is juvenile nasal angiofibroma, and in angiofibroma CT scan is done, endoscopic surgery is done, angioembolization is done, but what is not done? Biopsy. So the answer is biopsy is done for diagnosis. So this is not to be done. So this becomes the answer. If you attempt a biopsy, it is going to bleed hugely. A 16-year-old male complains of nasal obstruction, nasal blockage. A mass is seen in the nasopharynx with minimal extension into the sphenoid sinus. What is the stage of the nasopharyngeal fibroma? They have already given you the diagnosis also that this is angiofibroma. Otherwise, by the age, by patient being a male with nasal blockage and a mass in the nasopharynx, this is typical of an angiofibroma. Angiofibroma arises from the sphenopalatine foramen, and when it has minimal extension into the sphenoid sinus, this is the stage 1B. The staging is given by Redkowski classification. Stage 1A, when it is limited to the nose and nasopharyngeal area. Stage 1B, when it has extension into the one of the sinuses. Stage 2A, when it has minimal extension into the pterygopalatine fossa. 2B, it occupies the pterygopalatine fossa without extension into the orbit. And 2C, when it goes into the infratemporal fossa without cheek or pterygoid involvement. Type 3 is intracranial involvement. Intracranial extradural is 3A. Intracranial intradural with erosion of skull base with or without cavernous sinus involvement is 3B. Ongren's classification and Ongren's line are related to what? Cerebellopontine angle tumor, maxillary sinus carcinoma, glomus jugulare tumor, and basal cell carcinoma of eyelid. What is an Ongren's line? An Ongren's line is a line which passes from the medial canthus to the angle of the mandible, and this is the maxillary sinus, this is the orbit. So this is called as the Ongren's line. This is present in relation to the maxillary sinus carcinoma. The tumors that are present above this line are called the suprastructure tumors, and the tumors that are present below this line are called as the infrastructure tumors. The suprastructure tumors have a poorer prognosis because, as you can think, that it is related to the orbit, and infrastructure carcinomas, they have a relatively better prognosis. Tumor arising from olfactory nasal mucosa is nasal glioma, adenoid cystic carcinoma, nasopharyngeal carcinoma, and esthesiosneuroblastoma. Olfactory nasal mucosa is esthesiosneuroblastoma, and this is also called as olfactory esthesiosneuroblastoma. This is more common in females. It has a bimodal age distribution. It is present in young patients and it is present in old age patients. It involves the superior part of the nasal cavity where there is olfactory mucosa. This is the septum, this is the dural plate, and it involves this area. So, mostly the surgery that is involved, it leads to craniofacial resection. Sometimes radiotherapy or chemotherapy is also to be given once you operate these patients. They present relatively late and they present with nasal mass or obstruction or bleeding. Mother of a 1-year-old child comes to the OPD with swelling in the dorsum of the nose that was present since birth but increased in size recently. The diagnosis is nasal dermoid, glioma, meningocele or none. The answer is meningocele. As you see, the patient presents with a swelling and it is a cystic swelling with transillumination positive. So, to differentiate between a meningocele, glioma and a dermoid, transillumination is positive only in a meningocele, it is absent in glioma and dermoid. Reducibility is present only in meningocele, it is absent in glioma and dermoid. Compressibility is also present only in meningocele, it is also present in dermoid, and cuff impulse is present in a meningocele. So, all the signs that are positive are only in a meningocele. Since this patient had a transillumination test positive, this patient had a meningocele. Inverted papilloma of the nose is also known by all of the following names except transitional cell papilloma, Ringer's tumor, Schneiderian papilloma and juvenile papilloma. Inverted papilloma is called transitional also, Ringer's also and Schneiderian also. It is not called juvenile papilloma. So, the answer is juvenile papilloma. Inverted papilloma is also called as Schneiderian or Schneider's papilloma, inverting papilloma or inverted papilloma, Ringer's tumor, epithelial papilloma and transitional cell papilloma. Microscopically, the neoplastic epithelium is seen to grow towards the underlying stroma. So, instead of presenting as an exophytic growth, it presents as an inverting growth and that is why it is called as inverted papilloma. The papilloma is associated with human papilloma virus 6N11. Since it is not a malignant tumor, it is associated with 6N11. It presents in the later age group of 40 to 70 years, more common in males and typically presents in the lateral nasal wall. It is always unilateral. The treatment involves medial maxillectomy, complete excision of the tumor. It tends to recur and sometimes 3 to 4% of the times it has conversion into malignancy also. Now we will discuss radiology. Occipitomental view with an open mouth is called as Waters view, Townes view, Law's view, Stenver's view. Occipital mental view is called as the Waters view. Waters view is best for the visualization of frontal sinus, maxillary sinus, sphenoid sinus and ethmoid sinus. The answer is maxillary sinus. In an open mouth, sphenoid sinus is also seen in this view. Why is it called as occipitomental view? Because the rays they pass through the occiput and the mentum and it is called as the nose chin position. The X-ray plate and the X-ray tube have a certain angle with them. The various structures that are visible are, this is the maxillary sinus which is best visualized in this. Also other things like nasal septum are visualized, ethmoid sinus, frontal sinus, and also zygomatic arch can be, and mandible can also be seen in this view, but it is best for the maxillary sinus. This is the lateral view of the nose in which a nasal bone fracture can best be picked up. And for adenoids, we generally get done a X-ray nasopharynx or a lateral view. In this, as you see, this is the adenoids and this is the airway, and this is because of growth of adenoids in the nasopharynx. Okay friends, so now we need to revise all our facts and make notes and be thorough with your study. Best of luck. We'll all do great things in life. Thank you.